Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's noon edition of Reel to Reel. I'm Tanner, and joining me is my co-host Lyle.
Thank you, Tanner. Today we'll be taking a look at Cillian Murphy's newest role in Small Things Like These.
And be sure to take a look at our YouTube and Facebook accounts where you can see this morning show where they reviewed Venom: The Last Dance, as well as our previous shows.
Now, let's take a look at the trailer for Small Things Like These.
Girls.
Hi, Dad.
How are you getting on? Come on now, finish up your toast before it gets cold.
Mommy, please! No! Mommy, please! Listen to me! I'm not going in there! I am not sorry! Daddy!
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
I'd want to watch what you'd say about what's there. People can make things difficult for you.
Don't you ever question it?
The Lord is compassion and love, slow to anger and rich in mercy. No, don't be thinking you're in any trouble. The Lord is compassion and love. The Lord is compassion and love. The Lord is compassion and love.
If you want to get on in this life, there are things you have to ignore.
Small Things Like These takes place in the small Irish village of New Ross in 1985, right before Christmas. It begins with us following around Bill Furlong, the town's coal merchant, as he makes coal deliveries around the town. And we meet his wife, Eileen, and his 5 daughters.
One night when Bill wasn't able to sleep, he sets off on his deliveries earlier than expected. When he opens up the school of the local convent, he discovers a pregnant teenage girl named Sarah, locked in the shed in the freezing temperature.
Bill brings her to the convent. We see the convent's mother superior, Sister Mary. She ominously invites Bill in. Sister Mary questions her about why she was locked in the shed.
Sarah says that she was locked in the shed by the other girls while playing a game of hide and seek. She then starts to cry uncontrollably. Sister Mary gets the other nuns to clean her up and take her away. Afterwards, Sister Mary asks Bill about his daughters and about their schooling. Bill doesn't say much in response, and Sister Mary then gives him a large Christmas gift to Bill so that he would remain silent about what's happening at the convent.
We watch throughout the rest of the movie as Bill struggles to decide what to do, how to help Sarah, or to keep his head down and not jeopardize his daughter's futures, while also reliving his childhood trauma as the son of a single mother.
Now let's go take a small little peek behind the scenes.
My name is Mairead. I am the location manager with Barrow Pictures, and I've been based here in New Ross since the middle of January, and it's nearly coming up to the first week in May, and I'm finally leaving after we did a fantastic feature film called Small Things Like These. We had Cillian Murphy as our producer and also as our leading actor. It's been a delight because the book is based in New Ross, so it's really nice and authentic, and geographically it's accurate when we get the opportunity to come and film in real places. Even though the film is set in mid-1980s, the architecture that is still here lends itself to helping us along the way in terms of production design and the whole that whole side of visually how we want to depict that, or the production designer decides how to depict that. It's been our absolute pleasure working here. It's been an interesting one when the council have never had commercial filming here of this nature or this size before. So it's been a lovely experience to teach as we go and bring people along the journey.
Hey Lyle, do you know whose production company made this film?
No, I don't. Who produced it?
It was made by Artist Equity, which is owned by Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, yeah! Sorry about that. Sorry.
Okay, moving on. And Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah! Sorry, I apologize. I really like those two. My bad.
Are you gonna get through this?
Yeah, I'll
you
be
good?
fine. We're
You
good.
good?
We can continue.
Okay.
We can continue.
They released the movie Air about the origins of Air Jordans in 2023, and was the first movie they ever produced.
Wow, I didn't know that they created a company together.
Yeah, they started in 2022, right before they started to make Air, and their goal is to give artists more independence and creative liberty by giving them a stake in the performance of their film.
Huh, now that is a pretty interesting business model. Hey, did you know that Small Things Like These was originally a book?
I did see it was adapted for screenplay in the credits, but other than that, who wrote it?
It was written by Claire Keegan, an Irish author that Cillian Murphy had already been a fan of. The book also won Keegan the Booker Award in 2022, which was then given to publishers in United Kingdom and Ireland.
And did you know that this isn't the first time that director Tim Millance worked with Cillian Murphy?
Really? What else have they worked on together?
Tim Millance worked on Peaky Blinders and directed a few episodes of that show. Murphy also likes to describe himself as a serial re-collaborator, and Tim is the only one that he's worked with on this movie and in the past. He's also worked with screenplay writer Enda Walsh, as well as fellow actor Eileen Walsh on Disco Pigs. What are the reviews looking like, Lyle?
Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a very positive score from critics and audiences. It has a 93% from critics and an 80% from general audiences.
Now we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get right into our reviews after this commercial. That was much better.
All of our equipment is professional. The studios are gigantic.
good.
Cameras, use the lighting equipment. All the audio and design is extremely professional. I've enjoyed using the vocal booth every now and again. So, yeah, it's a good spot.
Really been enjoying animation. It's really cool. We're learning like state-of-the-art software that's so deep that sometimes I feel like I want to cry, but it's really cool what you can do with this stuff.
That's what I like here about Hannah Tech. It's very personal, and everybody knows everybody, and it's very welcoming.
I've seen or heard a lot of comparisons of small things like these to Oppenheimer, which makes some sense given Cillian Murphy's roles in each being emotionally complex men who are forced to grapple with their actions and conscience, as well as some storytelling techniques, similar storytelling similarities. For instance, time jumps and emphasis on emotional reactions from Murphy's part. But I think it's a somewhat unfair comparison given the scope of each movie, Oppenheimer being very grandiose and consequential in scale, while Small Things Like These, as the name suggests, is much more grounded and personal. And while I enjoyed Oppenheimer, I preferred the somewhat more monotonous life of a working-class Irishman as he stumbles into a cabal that most people are vaguely aware of, but don't really look into much due to the influence of the church in their daily lives. It's also a very strong story, both in tone and message, and its heavy use of close-ups and oft minimal dialogue in favor of these shots help convey Murphy's strong performance. But the film is not overly reliant on these shots, contrasting them with long and wide shots that separate Bill from the people around him and his neighbors. One of my favorite being when the church has a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and the whole town is clapping while it lights up, and in a long shot we see all the townsfolk celebrating while it happens, and Bill stands in the crowd by himself, looking off in his own thoughts. The flashbacks, I admit, were initially off-putting and slightly confusing, as I was left wondering who was in them. but they give an important look into Bill's character that puts into context why he feels so strongly about trying to help the girls of the convent, especially Sarah. And the film makes good use of elements introduced in his past and his present. The film's light and set design also help convey the mysteriousness and ominousness of the convent, with its halls often dark with high ceilings, the very gray look that gives a very sinister feeling. All of this combined with beautifully framed shots, a somewhat sudden ending to the movie, left me walking on this theater in silence and solemn contemplation. If you liked Oppenheimer, you'd probably like small things like these, but they are very different experiences. Personally, I think it's a 5 out of 5. However, your mileage may vary. How about you, Lyle?
For me, small things like these wasn't great. The constant grain of the film was too much for me. It was hard to get into the story because the grain distracted me so much from scene to scene. The story of the film was also really strange. Though I do believe the message is good, I really wasn't able to follow much of it during a majority of the film, and had to research what was actually happening afterwards for this review. But once again, the message of this movie is pretty good, after figuring it out, of course. Bringing an awareness of what convents were doing back in the 1980s was admirable, especially to me. I really like learning about world history. Going back to the look of the film and disregarding the grain, I think it was wonderfully shot. The angles were magnificent, and the landscaping shots were gorgeous. The lighting throughout the entire film really made you feel like you were back in 1985, and it left me awestruck. Cillian Murphy does a wonderful performance as Bill Furlong. He really is able to show the internal struggle of Bill on screen. So, all in all, I'll be rating small things like these 2 out of 5 reels. The lighting and the acting was good, but it wasn't able to carry the rest of the film well enough. Well, thank you everyone for watching this week's noon edition on Re to Reel.
We'll be right back here again on next Friday with our last 2 official shows of the semester. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube to catch those.
Also, be sure to check out our previous shows while you're at it. Leave a comment below of which review you agree with more, mine or his. Let us know.
Well, that's all we've got. So until next time, we're Reel to Reel.
Yep, we are.
Yep, we are.